Hi, welcome back to the Gapster channel. My name is Gabby. This is going to be one of my most exciting videos, at least for me, because I've been waiting for this for quite a long time. This is about my own Gapster TD1 DAC. The Gapster TD1 is based on the vintage Philips TDA1541A chip. Yes, a lot of brilliant people have worked on this chip before, but technology has changed. Now we have access to some amazing technologies like the streamer from in Canada, because you really need a great streamer for that, because we are going to have access to the direct I2S signal. We also have access to some amazing power supplies like the ultra capacitors. And I also discovered that the OPA 861 is a great op amp that works really well together with that combination. Altogether made some amazing sound, and the more I start working with it, the more I discovered how great it is. And I start tinkering and adjusting and fine-tuning, and I finally designed something that I like. You can run the TD1 basically just on the DAC itself, on a single standalone DAC. And for that, you just connect it to one of in Canada streamers or any I2S signal, or clean I2S signal, shall I say, that you can access to. We're not talking about I2S where you actually put an HDMI cable here. We're talking about direct connection to the internal I2S that's coming off the chip. And by doing so, you're going to be able to get some really great sound. The TD1 DAC uses two separate OPA 861 chips, one for each channel, so you have the left and the right channel, and they're quite divided. So that actually contributes some amazing separation and some amazing imaging, and we'll talk about that later as well. You can also add some shields, and those shields let you basically stack the DAC on top of the actual streamer. Another step is you can add one of a PCM board, like one of in Canada's, for example, PCM board or other PCM boards, where you can actually split the I2S signal. And that's going to let you basically run the DAC in a special mode, where you're going to have even a slightly improved sound. And lastly, you can also stack two of those DACs and have basically a differential mode where basically you're running them on an XLR output. So now you're running everything in differential mode. And this is a true balance mode, is what commonly is known as. So each DAC, each board is running a separate channel. So you've got one board running the left channel and one board running the right channel. And this is probably going to be the ultimate separation. Also, if you don't want to stack things like a major high-rise, you can easily put them side by side, or even just two of them on top of each other, as long as they're beside the streamer, within probably 6 inches, you should be okay. Just keep your leads for your I2S leads really as short as possible. So how does it sound? Everybody's probably wondering, okay, how does it sound, Gabby? Well, I've been comparing different DACs all the time. I'm trying to do this and that. And every time I try to listen to the Gapster TD1 and compare it to the other, I just cannot help myself but not see quite a difference in sound. Usually I don't see a big difference, but I do see it here. It's one of the sounds that's hard not to unhear, if you can say that word. Because once you hear it, it's like you want to keep listening to it. And I find myself, here I am testing things, and I listen to the TD1, and I just can't help myself but wanting to listen more. It's more enjoyable to listen. The biggest difference, a striking difference, is the sound stage. It's a massive sound stage. It's way wider and deeper. And that alone puts this DAC on top of my list, because I'm a big fan of soundstage, and for me that's a big ticket. The other thing is there's some slight improvements in the high frequencies. which is, you can see it's a little cleaner. And the bass is nice and tight, and it's not boomy or anything. There is a bad reputation that this chip has a boomy bass. Only if you really have it, not a good I2S signal, not a great power supply, not a great output stage. But once you fine-tune these, the bass is just perfect. And it's actually, if anything, it's a tiny bit better. So all along, it's a DAC that keeps you wanting to listen more. It's very musical, that's another thing. I'm not going to say the word analog sounding, but it is musical. But you got my idea. It's one of those DACs that you don't mind listening to and you won't get tired listening to. I happen to have a couple of friends visiting, and they're not like true audiophile, but they have great sense of music. One of them, Henrik, is actually a wildlife photographer, probably one of the best in the world. I put a link of his actually YouTube channel in the description below. So I played two songs for them, once on the Denafrips Terminator and once on my Gapster TD1. I did not say what's playing, which DAC is playing. I did not even tell them that I'm building a DAC or anything like that. I just say these are a couple songs on System A and System B, and tell me which one you like and why. And this is what they said. It's very interesting. Okay, so which one did you like, the first one or the second one?
For me, the second one.
And for you?
Second one for sure.
So what did you find about the second one that you liked?
The second one, I found the tonal range was much wider, deeper. It was just a much more pleasurable experience, if you will.
Okay, and what about for you?
Yeah, I need to ask one question. How do you say envolver?
Like involving, like involve.
Yeah.
The
More
sound
involved.
was, yeah.
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you could feel the sound involving your, like.
Surrounding.
Yeah, surrounding
surrounding
you.
So because you could feel the sound surrounding you,
Yeah.
like in a deeper way.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with that.
I spent a lot of time fine-tuning the output stage on this DAC, and also the design of the DAC. This is a 4-layer board. This is not a 2-layer board. It's almost like a surface mount, but it's actually, I made it through hole for all of you guys that are not highly experienced. And I used to be one of them. And I know the struggle of trying to solder those pesky little tiny capacitors that barely measure 1 millimeter. And so it's a lot easier to solder. So almost most people can solder it. There's a couple, like the chips, the OPA 861 chips, and a couple things that are surface mount, but the most, 95% of the DAC is through-hole. But through-hole in a tight version, in a 4-layer design, so it kept all the characteristic of a surface mount, yet it is through-hole. And you can use some very high-quality parts. Most of the parts are used, well, actually all the parts used are from Mauser. They're very high-quality parts, and that's another thing. It's one thing to design something and then not using good parts, because parts could make or break any system. We all know that. You can solder your power supply leads directly to the board, to the gold-plated pads. There are some very large ones. You can accommodate up to a 10-gauge wire, so that's going to keep your impedance low. Also, I did provide some pin headers in case you're testing at the beginning and you want a quick way to connect and disconnect from the board. And if you want to run separate supplies to the digital side and the analog side, it's simple. Just remove some of the jumpers and you have more pads directly connect power supply to the analog side independently from the digital side. So I fine-tuned spent a lot of time on the output stage, changing every resistor, every little capacitor, and trying to see what would sound the best. I measured, although I don't have the state-of-the-art measuring equipment, I do have some basic stuff, enough to get me through. And mostly it's my ears, because at the end you want it to sound good. and spending a lot of time. I've been working on this for over 6 months now, being quiet about it because I really wasn't sure at the end, and I hesitate if I really should actually release something like this to the public. One thing is I really don't want this to be copied and having sold on AliExpress, on eBay, and mass marketed. So I won't be releasing any schematics, although it's pretty simple design. But I've spent a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of time spent on this tag to get to where it is now. I'm not trying to really, basically I'm not hesitating whether should I put it on the market, but I will, and I'll see if everybody's kind and things are doing well, I'll keep it there. Otherwise, I'll easily scrap this project. But I would like other people to share what I know, what I've achieved. And it is a DIY and it's a hobby, and my biggest joy is when other people find that it's helping them further their journey into the DIY and hearing some of the sound that I am hearing. The release will be a bit slow at the beginning. I don't know what most of you, if anybody is interested, or thousands of people interested, so I don't know. So I'll see what the demand is like, and I'll basically start making more as things go. So don't expect things to ship right away. I do have a couple limited boards on supply, but I don't have tons. And also, I strongly suggest you get your own parts. Yes, I can get you the parts from Mauser, but if you are in a place where you can access Mauser or even DigiKey, please order your own parts. It'll be way cheaper and less expensive, because often they'll give you free shipping than me trying to ship all the stuff for you and spending all the time sorting things out. So, but I will do it if someone is in some place that I cannot get access to Mauser and like me to get all the parts in one go. Also, I did create a new website. Yes, I did. It's gapster.ca, and it's still in its infancy, but it's starting slowly. I will be adding more and more, but you can go on my website and actually order either the boards or the boards with a kit or even assembled. Talking about assembled, I really do not want to be soldering too many of those. I really don't have the time. So basically, I wasn't going to put that option, but it is there and it's extremely expensive. Only if you're desperate and you really can afford it. Otherwise, try to find a friend, find a buddy, find a technician that will put it together for you. It'll be probably a lot cheaper and easier. But if someone really wants it, I will do it. I'll do a few and see what happens. All this is going to be on an experimental basis, see how the flow goes. I'm not here trying to, make a business out of it. All I'm trying to do is just enjoy this hobby. So as long as it stays enjoyable, I'll keep doing it. There will be about 2 to 10 weeks wait. Depends on supply and demand, on what's going on. And also summertime, I'm quite busy. I'm really trying to enjoy family and go out a little bit. So I don't have a lot of time to spend on this, but I will try my best. So just bear with me and I'll slowly get to things. Please don't send emails asking me tons of questions. I get hundreds of emails all the time, and I'll try to answer a few here and there, but if I don't answer you, please, I'm not trying to ignore anyone. It's just me, and I cannot handle too many things. I get always questions, my system having this problem, my system is wrong. I sympathize with everybody because I've been there. I usually try sometimes to help, but again, I can't solve everybody's problem. So please bear with me and please understand. I will make some videos on how to assemble the Gapster TD1, and this is going to be basically your manual. Over time, if I get some more time, I'll try to put some things in the text and in writing. But for the time being, it's going to be a lot easier for me I'm a more of a visual person to people. Just watch the videos, and if you are building it, just watch the long videos. There'll be some long one about one step at a time, how to build it, how to solder almost every part on this DAC. I want you also to understand that as you're watching this, I'm biased. I'm the one creating this, so please take what I'm telling you with a grain of salt. But I truly believe of what I said. I wouldn't be telling you this if I didn't believe of what I said. But again, it's like everything else. You might want to basically try. Please don't go big. Start with something small, like single board. Don't be building, differential mode with major power supplies, this and that, and make it a huge project. Start small, and if you like it, then go big. Because I really want you to hear it for yourself, and you should be able to convince yourself and believe that yes, this is a sound that you like, and yes, you do see what I'm seeing. Many people have worked on this DAC chip. There's like thousands of people, and some really brilliant people. Some people know so much. They're engineers. They know every little detail. I'm not one of them. I know a little bit, but I'm not to that level. So if you find this DAC is not really what you're aspiring for, please, you don't have to build it. Don't do it. Just don't trash it. You don't have to. It's one of those things. You either like it, or if you don't like it, just move and build your own. So what you need to run this DAC, you're gonna need a streamer. I highly recommend Ian Canada streamer with some good clocks. And even if you don't have to go and splurge on the big expensive clocks. Start with the one that comes with it. So there's videos on how to build a streamer on my channel. There's quite a few of them. And also you're going to need some power supplies. I suggest a plus and minus 5 volt and a 15 volt. You can get those the easiest way. You can get a couple of basically Wi-Fi power supplies. You just plug them in and you're good to go. You get 2 to make plus 5 and minus 5, and you can get one for the 15 volts. And that could get you going. Step above from that, you can use some of in Canada's linear pi, or even better, you can use some of the UC Pure. And there's videos about all these power supplies on my site. I prefer to use the ultra capacitors with UC Pure, but if you're not still at that level, please don't start there. Start simple, as I said. And you're also going to need a 15 volt power supply. You can run it this way, just have those power supplies to run the entire board. And for those of you who are really advanced, start with that first, but down the road you can actually, if you want to split the power, have separate power to the output stage than the DAC chip, you can also do that. The board lets you do that, just a matter of changing a jumper pin here and there. There's also a special adjustment to adjust the DC offset compensation, and you can adjust it to zero and this way you don't have to use any capacitors. But if you prefer not to use that, the option is there. You can not use that and use capacitors. It is up to you. It's so highly configurable. It's also, you can if you don't want to use the OPA 861 output stage, you don't have to. You can use the output from the board itself and do your own output stage. So you want to use, for example, maybe a tube op amp or something like that. But I highly recommend you try it the way I've designed it, because it sounds amazing. I'll be making other videos about this, my Gapster TD1 DAC. You'll be hearing quite a bit about it. It's going to be slow over summer. Like I said, we're all busy, but as the more time and the more fall chip in, I'm going to have more time to spend on it and make some more videos about it. I'm going to put a link in the corner here about how to build one of Ian Canada's streamer, because you're going to need one of those if you're going to use this DAC. And in this corner, I'm going to put a video about some power supplies, because you're also going to need some of those if you want to run this DAC. There'll be a speaker in the middle. If you could please help by subscribing and helping the channel. You can also help by donating some super bucks or joining my Patreon channel. I'll put some links of those in the description below. Take care, and I hope to see you again.